Last task then to perform before they await eagerly Friday's quarter-final draw. No question, Jim Beglin, they will want to go out on a high note here, and a notable double over the champions of Italy.
Without a doubt, Peter, they'll want to win the match. Leeds have got a good momentum going now, despite the loss in Madrid. And, you know, even with the changes in personnel, I still think they're equipped to give Lazio a tough time of it tonight, and I think David O'Leary will just want them to express and enjoy.
This is Nedved with the first strike of the night. Very much a fixture in the senior Lazio team is Nedved. Here's Stankovic, then Ravanelli to Nedved. Nedved, who was shining brightly for Lazio even during their rocky spell earlier in the season. He really is such a key player for them, and attracting a lot of interest too from English clubs, including Manchester United and Chelsea, we hear.
Well, you mentioned Viduka that night in Rome, and yes, he was sensational that night, but Nedved was Lazio's best player without a doubt. He was the only one on the night that looked like doing something for the Rome side.
This is Baronio. Now Claudio Lopez. Pavel Nedved. It looks as if he's going to have a more or less central role, maybe in support of Ravanelli, who's making a dart through the centre here. Ravanelli, who had a controversial year, let's say, at Middlesbrough. The challenge then from Baronio. And here's Pesaresi, another of the French men, just tidying things up. Marcagiani is actually the #1 keeper at the moment because Peruzzi is out injured. Very experienced player, 35 now. Former Italian international. Ravanelli. Here's Wilcox. They'll be relishing this opportunity. On by Kuhl, a beautifully weighted pass too. He's got Bowyer arriving in the middle, just too close to Marcagiani. So bright movement there by Leeds.
Well, just one thing to note already, Peter, Lee Bowyer is inside in the middle where he likes to be. I think Mabry will hug the right, and Gary Kelly, of course, is playing right back. I think the caption before was slightly misleading.
Here's Bowyer, putting his off-the-field problems behind him, for the moment anyway. There's Mabry making the surge through, although it mix up on the back. Fernando Couto on a different wavelength there to Marcagiani.
Very casual, too casual.
Sent off at the weekend, Fernando Couto. That was the turning point in their defeat by Bologna, Lazio. Leeds, of course, had a rest day. Harry Kuhl. Well, they say it'll be some time before Kuhl is back to full fitness. But no doubt about it, Jim, he gives them an extra touch of flair, that extra bit of panache when he plays.
Well, he says himself he's not going to be at his best till he gets a good pre-season under his belt next season and can take it on from there. I'll tell you what, we saw some very good signs last week at the Bernabeu as well. He still looks lively, even though he's not 100% yet.
Stankovic to Pesaresi. Strong tackling here by Bowyer. He's got 5 goals in the Champions League this season. It really has been a revelation, despite all his problems. Arsenal are through to the quarter-finals to join Leeds and Manchester United. Bayern Munich beating them 1-0, but Lyon failed to win in Moscow. That finished 1-1. This is the Australian Jacob Burns. He's had 1 or 2 outings this season, including against Real Madrid here when Leeds were a little depleted. And Dacour didn't play that evening, and that was crucial, I think, with no disrespect to Burns. Ravanelli, the silver fox. This is Colonnesi. Now Castroman. It's very lively, this fellow, very quick. An Argentine who arrived earlier this year from Vélez Sarsfield back in his home country. And he gave Roberto Carlos a bit of a roasting in the Real game, the second one. Fernando Couto, who will certainly pose a threat in the air. So a test here for Robinson on his return to the Leeds senior team. Well, the break is on for Kuhl here. And that's a foul by the Leeds man.
I think he asked a lot of himself, Harry Kuhl, then. Support was coming quickly, but trying to take his man on, he left himself too much to do. Just a little nudge in the end.
Shove on Pesaresi, former Sampdoria player. He's hardly had a look in really with Lazio. Here's Fernando Couto. Hit long towards Ravanelli. And Robinson is there. His first start since January, the young goalkeeper. And of course he'll be keen to catch the eye of Tord Grip, Sven-Göran Eriksson's number 2, who is watching from the stands tonight.
Well, that was maybe just a little too early. He put Gary Kelly in trouble there and gestured a little hand of apology.
Lopez has come short here to offer himself. Now Pesaresi looking to take on Kelly and Mabry. Mabry in goal for the first time this season for Leeds. An Irish international. Here's Stankovic. What a good ball too, but the flag's up against Ravanelli, but he'd ghosted into space there for a moment.
Well, he did, but I thought the linesman got that one right. I thought he went just a little bit early, but it was well spotted by Stankovic. In fact, as is often the case, we look at it again and he was onside when it was played.
Viduka. He's been back into scoring form lately. Putting one away to Anderlecht, away to Real, and of course against Manchester United too, after he'd gone through a bit of a barren spell. Claudio Lopez. Here's Castroman. Chance to show his pace maybe. He's very nifty too, still Castroman. And then Ravanelli. Didn't really look too interested there. And Leeds survive.
Well, if Ian Hart didn't know it already, he knows it now. Castroman relies heavily on his pace.
Harry Kuhl, he'll have a go from here. Decent try. Hasn't scored for nearly a year now, but then of course he's hardly played.
That was a decent attempt. I think it was quite central, really. He didn't quite get it on as much as he would have liked, I think, on his left side, and he's just dragged that all the way.
But a bright start to the game. It's an open contest so far, as we have been hoping for.
I think you're going to get that. I'm sure Dino Zoff would have said to his players coming in as well to, you know, relax, enjoy it, and go out and play with a little bit of flair. Pass it and move and enjoy it.
We have been turning things around, certainly in Serie A. 7 wins in the first 8 games after he took over from Sven-Göran Eriksson. But then came the slip-up against Bologna at the weekend, and it's a big, big blow to their championship aspirations, their hopes of defending their title. This is Gary Kelly, who's wearing the armband for Leeds tonight, in the absence of Radeby. Baronio snapping in with a tackle, and again Ravanelli, although he's furious, he is offside. He's going to be in trouble here if he doesn't keep quiet. He was never shy of having an opinion, Ravanelli.
Never. Certainly in his Borough days. Not great for morale at times, but I think he was off then. He might have had a case last time, but not there.
I was reading this week he wants to go back to Middlesbrough. What Brian Robson makes of that. Stan Collymore wants a testimonial from Oviedo. This is Wilcox now. Just teasing Castroman. He's got Ian Hart in support if he needs him. Good foraging here by Wilcox. Now there's danger. And he might have done better there, Bowyer. Who knows what a good chance that was, created by Leeds with their ingenuity.
That was very well worked. Good work by Wilcox down the left, came inside, just flicked it in for Viduka. A little peel off from Bowyer, and he was just leaning back as he struck it and consequently got it high. Just as laid back, he's just kind of leans back a touch and underneath it.
Wilcox, who set up that opportunity. Ian Hart aiming for Kuhl, moving up front again by Leeds. Oh, you have made another of those surges through the middle. But here's Nedved now on the break. And Lopez. Matthew's gone with him. Again, underlining his versatility, Matteo, as he switches to the back four tonight. Seems to be alternating between midfield and central defence. He's played at left back as well. Mihailovic, who's lost his regular pace in the Lazio team at the moment. His offers preferred mainly Fernando Couto alongside Nesta, who's one of those out injured tonight. Ravanelli won't get there before Mills.
He's not happy again. He's having another little moan about something. I think he felt maybe there was a slight nudge from Danny Mills as he challenged for the ball.
But his endeavour is refreshing, Jim. I mean, he hasn't come here to play in a lacklustre fashion, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, I think, you know, you've made the point already, Peter. There's a lot of guys, both on the Leeds side and the Lazio side tonight, that, you know, have to impress. I'm delighted at the chance, and I'm pleased with the tempo we've seen. There's urgency in both sides at the moment, and it's good to see. I think it's helping the game to flow nicely, and I think it will be open.
Little altercation here between Mihailovic and Harry Kewell. No love lost there. Mihailovic, who we hear, is on his way out from Lazio. Even the fans there have turned against him.
Well, he's suspect temperamentally as well. As I remember in Euro 2000, he got sent off against Slovenia.
It was Kewell trying to thread it on. Fernando Couto at Baronio sorting out the problem. Decent player, this fellow Baronio. He can't get in the Lazio team too often, but he is the Italian Young Player of the Year. He was outstanding last season for Regina on loan. Back comes Castroman. He is certainly eye-catching until that moment. Vying with Poborski, more regular place down the right for Lazio. Poborski, who is cup-tied. Very nice. It's dancing away from Wilcox. Fernando Couto. Here's Nedved. He's off on a run here too, Nedved. Good covering though by Dominic Matteo, who has pledged his allegiance now then to Scotland, despite overtures from Sven-Goran Eriksson. From what I was hearing, he would have picked him had he made himself available. Of course, he has already played for Scotland in a friendly. Wilcox here will be hoping to win favour back with England in due course now that he's fit again. A lot of problems with injuries, Wilcox. He was a little late there with a challenge on Castroman, the 20-year-old Argentine, who's given Leeds plenty to think about in this early phase. Leeds have never lost to an Italian team here. Ravanelli's old club Juventus, the last to even score here some 30 years ago. This is Pesaresi, and he won't be altering that statistic.
Definitely not. That was very ambitious, to say the least. It must have been about 35-40 yards out, and his coach didn't look too pleased about that one either.
How can you tell? He never smiles. Gary Kelly back in the fold now after injury. Robinson having to evade the challenge there. Pretty sharpish. Getting away from Lopez. Wilcox. Good tidy play here by Leeds again. Viduka. Good cohesion. Almost got Boya, and then maybe Viduka in. But their approach play has been neat and tidy.
That's nice. It's nice and bright. It's quick, it's into feet. That's the way to unlock defences.
Mills, who seems equally at home in the centre of the back line as he does on the flanks. Matteo. Now Kelly. Back comes Viduka. But he's gifted possession now to Dejan Stankovic. Lopez, he's onside. And he's quick, but he's not that quick. Lopez, who's been out since November until his recent return. Could be Barthez here.
That was cool. I mean, knew what he was doing all along. You just have to hope that the attacker is completely committed, and Lopez was.
Now, was that a trip? The referee says play on. But Colonnese a little lucky, maybe. Free header then for Matteo. On by Wilcox to Kuhl. Another crunching tackle from Colonnesi. He's going to be in trouble surely for that. Dreadful tackle.
Stupid. I mean, they've had a couple of little altercations already, and that was ridiculous. Harry Kuhl's laid it off, and he's come right through him, and got to see a yellow brandish for that.
Well, he's obviously keen to do well. He doesn't get too many starts, Colonnesi. Indeed, the game against Anderlecht was his first under Zoff, and that's no way to impress. Pesaresi. Colonnesi, who is the former Roma and Inter defender, with a reputation for being a little uncompromising with his tackling, and he's reminded us of that.
Just a bit. There's no need. I mean, you know, early in a game like this as well, there's nothing particularly at stake. He doesn't have to resort to things like that. Now he's got to watch himself.
Mills with Kelly. On by Bowyer, but that's good anticipation by Stankovic. Who feels he can't be at his best for Lazio, but he doesn't play often enough. One of the unsettled players at the club. It's good distribution by Baronio to locate Pesaresi, then Nedved. Lazio spraying it around here, and it's Ravanelli now. Castraman's come in field, he should have stayed where he was.
Just been watching those, they were trying to build that attack. Lopez, I think Mills and Matteo are going to have to stay in touch big time where he's concerned, because his pace is frightening. And he goes diagonally across the line as well, you know, he's not running, so he's going to get cut offside easily.
Here's Burns. Now Wilcox, can he deliver from here? Kiddle's arrived in the middle with Viduka, still Wilcox. Free waiting for the cross now for Leeds. Finally it's in from Hart, and a little too near to Marcogiani. Only Ravanelli right upfield for Lazio. Lopez was lurking with intent though. He's got 5 goals in the Champions League, Lopez, even though he's hardly featured because of injury. Got 3 in one game against Shakhtar Donetsk. Yeah, that was clumsy. Unnecessary 2 really from Matteo on Ravanelli, who made sure the referee didn't miss it.
Well, it wasn't quite as bad as Colonnese's before, but again, there's no need for this, because he's got Ravanelli boxed where he wants him, back to go, don't have to make the tackle.
Again, they've posted up Fernando Couto. Ravanelli certainly no slouch in the air. A little bit of jostling going on with Dominic Matteo, seen by the Austrian referee. He's certainly up for this game, Ravanelli. Fernando Couto making his presence felt. Mihailovic, who can be so dangerous on set pieces. Looking to swing it in again. Robinson getting some distance on his punch away. Didn't out punch it out.
Well, he's done well, because if you're going to opt for that, then you have to get distance on it, and he did exactly that.
Obviously disappointed to lose his place to Nigel Martin when the England goalkeeper came back, but I don't think there was any reflection on the way he was playing. Just Martin having that little bit of extra experience. It's Colonnesi. Castroman, good ball too. Ravanelli waiting to pounce. That's good covering though by Danny Mills. It's not summer where I'm sitting. Fans of Lazio, I think there are more than that here.
How many layers have you got on? Only 6 tonight?
3 layers of thermals, 3 pairs of socks. Coming up to the 20-minute mark. No scorers yet, 2 chances. Certainly some enterprising football from both teams. Pavel Nedved. Here's Here's the Czech Republic international again. Good play again from Lazio. Dangerous ball towards Ravanelli! What a good finish too! Oh, he rolled back the ears there. That was such a good header from Fabrizio Ravanelli. And the fans, well, there might not be many of them here, but they enjoyed that.
That was beautifully worked. I mean, the cross from Nedved is an absolute peach. I mean, he's played it right on Ravanelli's head. Frankly, he couldn't miss from there, and he just makes sure, like the wily old devil he is, as he gets a chance like that, he's not going to turn it down. But a great delivery in from the Czech. And 1-0.
David O'Leary will be very unhappy in his team's defending there. The marking was sloppy. Ravanelli was perfectly placed. And his second goal in the Champions League was delightfully taken. Owing much to the accuracy on the cross from Nedved, who's just put another couple of million on his transfer fee.
Yeah, I think at times you can make allowances when you've got changes in personnel in a certain area of a team, but you know, Ian Hart, James and Wilcox played with each other quite a few times in the past, and the communication was poor there to let Nedved in round the back, but it was a great delivery.
Not so this time from Nedved, but he is a brilliant player, one of the finest in Serie A. Very rarely does he have a bad game. They actually had to take him off at the weekend, had to sacrifice him, at least that's what was off decided, when Fernando Couto was sent off. That raised a few eyebrows, I can tell you. Now, what have Leeds got in response here? Ian Hart. Now Wilcox has taken a deflection for the corner. Off Stankovic. Mills on his way up. Matteo is already in there to join Viduka, who of course scored a headed goal last week against Real. The Leeds were so unlucky to go down. That was Matteo. Didn't really get a clean contact on it.
And he should have, because he had a free header. He made a great dart to the front post, got up above everyone else unchallenged, and he should have got better contact on it.
Castrovan just seemed to lose his bearings for a moment here, but he's got away with it. Trying to fend off Ian Hart. But it was a definite chance for Matteo.
I think he knows it only too well. Got away from his man, got above, completely free, and he should have got a better connection to that.
Certainly to see Fernando Couto, who failed to go with it. Well, you can smile with Leeds being in the situation they're in at the moment. Otherwise he might have been looking a little angered by that. It was a definite opportunity.
Well, now it's going to test characters even more.
It was Mabry's header. Now Stankovic. Battling with Viduka, who has been penalised. Matteo's header, but only to the feet of Pavel Nedved. He is tormenting Leeds at times tonight. Wonderful cross for the goal. And he seems to be everywhere.
Well, he is, because he's got that free roll. I think at the moment, actually, Lazio are outnumbering Leeds in midfield. And Nedved can go where he wants, and consequently he's finding a lot of space and using it well.
Leeds missing the experience of Batty and Dakor. Backer in midfield. This time Lazio have been repelled. They have been threatening to puncture Leeds' resistance on quite a few occasions. With their movement and their interplay. Here's Ravanelli. This was X by Matteo. Gary Kelly. Longest serving player in this Leeds team. That was Fernando Couto. Castroman. Now Stankovic has Pesaresi in support. And Ravanelli working so hard up front. Not the right selection this time though, and then comes Boya. Hopefully to send Leeds on their way. Ian Hart, the Irish international, to Viduka. of speculation linking Maduka with Roma at the moment, Colonnese's old club. But he says, no, I'm flattered by it all, but I'm sticking with Leeds. There's so many, there are so many exciting times ahead.
Well, sometimes players can react badly to that kind of speculation. So it'll be interesting to see how Viduka copes overall. But then again, the midfield not been its usual self. Maybe the service won't be as good to him, we'll see.
Matteo will be a target here, along with Viduka. Bowyer's gone near post. There's Harry Kuehl for the backstick. Didn't get a contact though, it didn't reach him, and Lazio had the free kick. Burns, who was signed for around $250,000, just as cover really. So he'll be relishing this chance tonight.
That's a big onus on him at times, Peter, because naturally Lee Bowyer is looking to get forward at every opportunity, and sometimes Burns is exposed and he has a lot to cope with. As I say, Lazio, well, they're outnumbering Leeds in that department, and I think they're using the ball a little bit better.
Viduka, who's found some space now, dragging Fernando Couto out of the middle. Good play by Viduka. Maybe trying to over-elaborate there. Here's Castroman. Viduka with 17 goals for Leeds this season. Unbelievably, he was getting some stick from some of the fans here when he was going through that lean spell. He was absolutely furious at that, I know. Here's Kelly off on a run. Nedved almost pulled him down. Play by Maybury, and Harry Kuehl here. Bowyer on the near post. Now it's Bowyer. Oh, beautifully done. Oh, that is such a clever goal from Lee Bowyer. And he joins the Champions League's leading scorers this season on 6. A memorable goal.
That's exquisite. It is a gem of a goal when Harry Kuehl heads it. The awareness and the skill to actually lift it over Marchigiani is absolutely tremendous. It really is. He knew exactly what he was doing, and the execution was perfection. That's very, very clever. But then again, we've come to expect that from Lee Bowyer. That's exquisite.
Well, he isn't playing like a man carrying a weight on his shoulders with a court case that is ongoing. He's in a tough day in court today. It's too long for Ravanelli.
He's given a penalty. There was a little tug by Matteo, and the referee spotted it. I think Ravanelli made a bit of a meal of it, but the referee's given a spot kick.
Well, he's chasing through here, clashes with Matteo, and the referee had a good long hard look and says that is a penalty.
I think the initial contact as well was outside the box, but I think Matteo's arm or his hand was still on Ravanelli's back as they drifted into the box, and of course when a player falls forward, referee's always likely to give the spot kick as opposed to a free kick.
Sinisa Mihailovic will take the penalty kick and has a chance set to restore Lazio's advantage. He's normally pretty lethal from this range. He is again. Lazio go back in front, albeit in controversial fashion. Now what's happening?
It was well executed again, the spot kick. Pretty emphatic. Paul Robinson had no chance. And the reason there was a little altercation again there, Peter, was that Paul Robinson slammed the ball into the celebrating Lazio players, and they reacted to that. But it was sloppy on Dominic Matteo's part, because he allowed Ravanelli get goal side, just got caught out momentarily. Twice now Leeds have lapsed, and that's why we saw the little pullback.
And the yellow card for Dominic Matteo. Mihailovic with the second goal for Lazio after Ravanelli, who scored the first, was brought down. Fernando Couto.
I'll tell you what, I hope it doesn't kick off now, because Gary Kelly was quite late on Ravanelli just now.
Ravanelli is writhing in agony down below us, and again there's a fracas down by the corner flag now. And the Austrian referee needs to step in here and restore order pretty quickly. Who says this match doesn't matter?
Well, do you know, I thought the referee was going to have a quiet one tonight as well. I didn't think he'd be this busy, but there's all sorts going on now.
He needs eyes in the back of his head at the moment. Tempers are becoming decidedly frayed here.
Well, Nedved's had a go at Gary Kelly just now for the late challenge on Ravanelli.
Fernando Couto jumping with Viduka. It's Kuhl. Let's take another look at the incident here that led to the penalty. Well, he did clip it, but he went to grab very easily Ravanelli.
But the thing is, you know, when you're playing against characters like Ravanelli, that they'll make the most of instances like that. I mean, the contact might have been minimal enough, but I always say to defenders, if you raise your hands and you pull a shirt, and the referee's always likely to give a decision against you, and you can't argue with it.
Well, he was in no doubt.
And by the way, I usually stick up for defenders as well, but not there.
You do. Lazio, who was deemed to be the villain of the piece. Here's Ravanelli. Getting a raucous reception now from the Leeds fans. Baronio has gone about his work effectively in the midfield. And Lazio, you feel, have dominated. They've outnumbered Leeds at times. Fernando Couto. Now Nedved. Aiming for Ravanelli. This time Ian Hart had the measure of him. Little shove by Mihailovic on Harry Kuhl. They're not getting on too well, those two. Dearly me.
You can't take your eyes off it.
Ian Hart will line this one up. The concern of Marcogiani. He can really drive them in, Ian Hart. As he hopes to emphasise here. Not building him up again.
I'm glad I said nothing on that one. Now, obviously, he wanted to get his foot round it and get a little bit of curl and dip, but didn't quite happen. He just slashed across it in the end. Unlike Ian Hart, he's normally a lot better than that from those situations.
And generally has been back to something like his best form to of late. Ian Hart, after a spell out of the team when O'Leary dropped him. That was Baronio. Now Pesaresi. Miscue then surely by Matteo. He's got away with that. It's too heavy though for Wilcox. Colonnesi is there. Good persistent shot by Viduka. Leeds' commitment is total here. Just checking the league table to make sure this group is all over. They're not playing like it. Here's Pesaresi. Mario Lopez with Stankovic. His opportunities in the senior team in Serie A are few and far between, really. Veron and Dino Baggio are the first choices. Veron, another of those left behind, incidentally. He hasn't made the trip here. But Salas on the bench, remember, and Crespo. Claudio Lopez. Good ball as well. Oh, Castromat couldn't quite take it in his stride. Again, Leeds seem to lose their concentration at the back. Here's Baronio with intelligent distribution to pick out Nedved.
I think somebody's got to be the organisational voice in there now. You're obviously missing people like Decore and Batty, Ferdinand. Somebody's got to take control and start organising things because people aren't being picked up, and David O'Leary won't be happy about that.
So seem to be lacking a leader. Ravanelli. who is not lacking vocal support of one kind or another. Only about 200 fans have come over from Rome. This is Ravanelli. Clearance was from Mills. Lazio with the lion's share of possession and the lead as well. Claudio Lopez couldn't quite latch onto the return though. Out come Leeds, handball, surely that by Nedved. And that has to be a booking.
I can't believe he's gotten away with that. That was as blatant as you like.
Referees don't seem to be too hot on handballs these days, Jim.
Well, he certainly should have had a yellow card for that one.
This is Bowie. Oh, Claudio Lopez with a very clever touch. He's got Ravanelli up with him, might not need him. But no real conviction about the finale there from Claudio Lopez. Fernando Couto. Then Nedved to Baronio. That's good play here from Lazio. Nedved. Ravanelli managing to stay onside. It's Stankovic who's made the run. Well-tucked tackle though from Ian Hart to deny him any further progress.
That was good play all round. It was lovely football by Lazio. Very, very swift to feet. And good tackle back by Ian Hart. I haven't seen Leeds play at home and bypass midfield so much before, Peter. I think, you know, they're not getting on it in midfield at all, making things happen. They're looking for the early one all the time, and it's not always working out to Kuhl and Viduka. It's breaking down more often than not. And I think Leeds need just try and get a little composure in their play in midfield.
Lopez with a shot that's charged down. Certainly they are missing the inspiration of Dacor, who was absolutely magnificent in the game in Rome. He did run things from midfield. Now Harry Kuhl, Viduka making a run into the middle, so is Bowyer. Still Kuhl. There's that familiar change of pace, but it didn't deceive Colonnesi. Matteo on the edge of the 18-yard box. Okay, Bowyer's gone near post. Did really well to get his header away too.
Oh, he's incredible. I mean, how he gets on the end of things like that. I mean, he's not the biggest in the world. Like a little ferret, always keeps going, and he always seems to be there when it matters. Did extremely well to get that on target. Good ball in, a lot of pace on it. Somebody needs to attack it. Oh, he's done very, very well. Marchigiani well placed, but it's a very good header.
Here's Hart for Leeds. So many outstanding results from them in the Champions League this season. And they're really very keen to round things off in this group with another win tonight. But it's not proving easy against Lazio. Far from it. Again, it's Bowyer looking in the centre. Safe handling though by Marchigiani. Ravanelli tangling with Matteo. Then Burns.
I'd like to see Leeds change the play a bit as well. Get Mabry, I mean Bowyer's coming out here to the right side now. Get a little bit of action down here because they're lopsided. Everything's been going down the left so far.
I think the ball was out of play. No, in fact it's an offside decision here. Kelly thinks it's a throw. Danny Mills. Player who has so often excelled in that central defensive role when called upon by Leeds. Mihailovic and Kelly. Stankovic getting mixed mixed up there with Viduka, and it will be a free kick to Leeds. Striving here to get back on level terms. Matteo, who scored that tremendous goal in the Lazio, of course, against Milan back at the first group phase. Hart wanting some movement ahead of him. Kuhl couldn't quite force his way through. Here's Castroman. Leeds do at least seem to have curbed some of his early influence. Oh, he was unmarked in the middle. This is Pesaresi, though. Curtailing the interest of Maybury. Pesaresi again, then Maybury. On to Kuhl. Mihailovic stepping in. Mills under no real pressure here. And he's found Ian Hart. Leeds, who've lost only 2 of their last 10 in the Champions League. Harry Kuhl linking up well then with Maybury. Just took it too far though, and Fernando Couto had the experience to ward him off, but at the expense of a corner.
That's well done, Alan Maybury. I think Fernando Couto's got a problem. Maybe he's dislocated a finger or something there. Seems to be in a bit of pain. But Maybury did extremely well to force the corner.
He turned very quickly then to wave to the bench. The referee's having none of it.
Like Viduka before, didn't give it up. Correct decision as well, and I think Fernando Couto's just gone down awkwardly and done something to one of his fingers.
Makajani staying at home, and it's fired in by Wilcox, and it's 2-2. Really emphatic finish there on his return to the team. Beaming smile from Wilcox. He's back at business.
Well, we're seeing some very good goals tonight, that's for sure. And again, this was spot on. He has to catch it right, and he catches it perfectly. Not always easy to execute those ones coming at you first time on the volley, right through the legs of Castroman on the post. Can you believe it? Too much pace on it. He can't do anything about it. And I don't think either manager's going to be too pleased about the defending up to now either.
He certainly wasn't marked tight then by Colonnesi. And Wilcox has made it 2-2 at Ellen Road with just a couple of minutes to go in the first half. Castroman, who was on that post, but not really guarding it.
Well, it shouldn't even get that far. I mean, one of your centre-backs should be coming to attack that and get it away. I mean, when Wilcox can volley it in, it's about a foot off the ground on the far post, shouldn't get that far.
Ian Hart, as Leeds come marauding forward again. Viduka come short, to no avail this time. Well, the game has been played, I was going to say in the right spirit, it's been played in the determined spirit, that's for sure.
Without doubt. I mean, that's the one thing they will be pleased about. Of course, Leeds have played better, and everything's relative. The side they've got out tonight, you can't expect it to be that fluid. But the attitude and the approach from Leeds is superb. Keep coming back.
We'll give Lazio credit too. They have not come here simply to lie down. Stankovic. They are playing for their pride, and they are playing with plenty of commitment. So disappointed to be going out of Europe at this stage. Lazio, it was Claudio Lopez, of course, playing for Valencia, who proved to be their undoing last season at the quarter-final level. Valencia going on to the final after a tremendous home display. Now, back comes Kuhl. 1 minute of time to be added on. Mihailovic. Here's Ravanelli. I don't think he'll be too bothered by the abuse he's getting. Some players seem to thrive on it. Not sure you did.
I was never abused, Peter.
Disbelief, I think disbelief.
I was certainly never around here long enough for that. Oh, Ravanelli's done well. I mean, it was just a little bit late, the challenge from Stankovic, but you know, he has that style, and he looks as if he's moaning more often than not. But you know, you put it in the mixer, and he'll be there, as he showed on the first goal.
To the last few seconds now of the first half. Duca. Oh, that's good skill too. Fernando Couto almost brought him down. No room for error there. As the first half comes to a close, it's certainly been an interesting 45 minutes. Controversial to some extent. Ravanelli still arguing the toss here with Kelly. Ravanelli giving his team the lead. He was then brought down for the penalty tucked away by Mihailovic, but Leeds had already come back to Lee Bowyer. And then a second equaliser from Jason Wilcox to set up the second half here. It's 2-2 at Ellen Road. Well, Jim Begley, what did you make of the first half? It was certainly full of twists and turns.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't think it'd be quite so competitive, but it was ferociously so on one or two occasions.
To stay with us, run by Casterman and then Ravanelli. Casterman again testing the resolve there of Dominic Matteo.
But I think both coaches would have harped on about just tightening things up at the back in the second half and just been a little more vigilant all round. I'd like to see Leeds get hold of it more in midfield, Burns and Mabry getting more involved.
This is Baronio. He was one of the leading lights for the under-21s last year, the Italians, when they took the European title.
Speculative. I mean, I don't think he really hit it with that much conviction either.
Marcogiani, who was Lazio's #1 for some 7 years before the arrival of Angelo Peruzzi last summer. Now Peruzzi himself out injured. Marcogiani, who's come in for the last few games now. Bowyer had to latch onto that. Very eager, so full of running, so enthusiastic, Lee Bowyer.
And so aware, because Marcogiani, for me, was slightly too much to one side, to his left, and Bowyer spotted that. That's why he tried to hit it early.
Here's Viduka. Now Mills. Turning it to Stankovic. And Mabry hasn't managed to keep the ball alive. In fact, it is a free kick to Leeds for the initial challenge. Ian Hart stepping up. Surely we'll never go from here, will he?
Well, this will be ambitious.
Matteo's gone up there. He's looking for Viduka, and then Bowyer! That snapshot, fired through then by Wilcox. Well, he claimed his first goal of the season in the opening half, and he's eager for more.
Oh, but it's great to see the players working off Viduka. It was a clever little flick by Ian Hart. Viduka strong, holds off Fernando Couto. Bowyer denied, and Wilcox unlucky.
He is so adept, Viduka, in holding up the play, bringing other players into it. What a movement in there from Matteo. Now Viduka making a run as well. That stayed in. Up by Pesaresi. Good anticipation by Mills. It might have set something up here. It's Kuehl, and then Mabry bearing down on goal. Just took it too far.
Well, that's unfortunate. He's been in a couple of positions like that in the match up to now, Alan Mabry, and I think his touch has let him down a little bit. That was just a little too heavy. I think there's still a bit of rust on show there.
Viduka. Oh, he managed to work it on. Kuhl claiming handball, not given. Colonnesi playing it away. Leeds have had enough of handball after last week with Raul. That referee apparently has now gone out to umpire in Sri Lanka. It was Burns, who can certainly bite in with a challenge. Yeah, tough little customer.
Well, he is. I mean, at times he's been outnumbered in there tonight, and you know, he's needed a little more assistance because Boyer's just looking to get forward all the while. You just have to find a happy compromise.
And every game is all part of the learning curve for Leeds on the European stage. So often this season they have risen to the occasion. Ask Lazio with themselves after that stunning display in Rome.
I think that's been one of the pluses this season. Yes, Leeds have performed brilliantly in Europe, but many forget, especially in the early part of the season, they were decimated. The whole squad was very depleted. And all those that came in have done a fantastic job for David O'Leary. He's got the best out of a lot of them.
And how well they have recovered from that mauling at Barcelona. Not too many would have bet on them getting to the quarter-finals at that stage.
Me included.
I know you probably did. That was slick. Well read though by Mihailovic to break it up. Viduka was almost in. Baronio on to Castroman, who was very untidy then, far too casual. Away comes Hart, who was alert to the possibilities. Just couldn't link up there with Wilcox. Leeds unlucky. And they normally do pretty well under David O'Leary here in Europe. 9 wins out of 13 on home soil since he took charge somewhat 2.5 years ago. Colonnesi. It's a loose ball by him though. Now Kuhl on to Viduka. This is promising for Leeds. It's Harry Kuhl again. He's bent it too high. In search of that elusive breakthrough goal for him.
Great idea. I mean, Wilcox was screaming it from Viduka for it. Didn't play him in, and you could see what Kuhl was thinking. Do it early. As soon as it comes back to him, he's got all the space in the world. He just tries to curl it into that top corner. Keeper was off his line too, a little bit lower, and he would have been caught.
Hills the first to respond here. Now Hart. Kuhl had shown for him, so to Wilcox down the flank. With a cushion header by Colonnesi. And Fernando Couto had to bail him out.
That was a good ball forward. I mean, it gets defenders backpedaling, makes it difficult to get a good clearing header.
Bowyer leaving the corner for Hart. Matteo has arrived in the middle. Mihailovic keeping a watchful eye on Viduka. Just too long for Viduka, but only just. Viduka in tandem then with Harry Kuhl tonight. I don't think they've played together since the Australian national team. The Venables. Robbie Keane, of course, isn't eligible for this game tonight. Alan Smith kept out of things with that yellow card hanging over him. One more and he would be suspended. Same case as Eric Bakker. Not showing too much of that to a very determined Ravanelli. Very anxious to impose himself on this game, Ravanelli. And he has one way or another. Former Champions League winner, of course, with Juventus in his pomp. Baronio. That was Claudio Lopez, then Nedved. Stankovic upended by Bowyer. Not over-exuberant that time. Stankovic, who has talked about leaving Lazio if he doesn't get more opportunities. He might not finish this game by the looks of things. Offside against Claudio Lopez. Got too quick for his own good then.
I think Leeds have done better since the start of the second half, since the resumption. Half a yard. Even at that, it might have been a touch harsh, but I think they've passed the ball a little bit better. Their movement's crisper, and they look as if they want to impose themselves more on Lazio and just force them back, as they're doing again now.
Fernando Couto having to cover the run of Viduka. And the referee decides there was a little tug then from the Australian. Fernando Couto, of course, captained Portugal on their way to the semi-final in Euro 2000.
He's gained about 15 yards here from where it should be taken.
A lenient view from the referee. This time. Now Kul. Trying to take on Mihailovic. Good defending though by the Yugoslav. Initially anyway. It needed Pesarese to help him out. Lazio are giving Leeds a real match here tonight. They might be out of Europe, but they've come here determined to go out on a high themselves. That was Baronio. On by Matteo to Hart. A rather tame challenge then from Casterman. Now can Hart set something up here? Acrobatics from Kul, but he can't keep it in. 10 minutes into the second half, and still the match evenly poised.
I think Lazio will be looking now just to try and, settle back into it in the second half, get into more of a passing groove, start finding people again. So I think Leeds have had the upper hand since the beginning of the second half.
Mills stepping in ahead of Pavel Nedved. Now Kul, Viduka. He nearly got Bowyer in. He's on the march again now. Bowyer is far post. Couldn't quite get a clean strike on it.
Well, it's the best we've seen from Alan Mabry. That's great skill to beat his man with great ease. And it just got a little flick, I think, from Fernando Couto to find Bowyer on the far post, but Casterman did well to get back and I think just do enough to put him off.
Really good run then by Alan Mabry, the Irishman who's come into the team tonight. Getting the 3-year start under David O'Leary. Ian Hart. Now Kul. Teasing Colonnesi. That was brilliantly done too. What a pity that he couldn't find Bowyer. Nedved, challenged by Lee Bowyer. Ravanelli. Then Nedved onto Claudio Lopez, who has lightning pace. Still Claudio Lopez. And those Leeds defenders just about did enough then to deter him.
Well, Matteo did well to begin with because Claudio Lopez was wrong side again, but Danny Mills did well to get back in support and help out too. But it looked dangerous for one moment there. I thought Lopez was going to capitalise on that.
It's Kelly setting off now for Leeds. But he can't get through. The slip by Nedved was beneficial to Leeds. Burns. Fernando Couto stabbing it away. Only as far as Mills. There's more danger looming now. That's a good claim though by Marcagiani. Really positive goalkeeping by him. He just caught. Is it Bowyer? Viduka.
Bowyer.
Oh yeah.
Well, no surprise to see him in where it hurts, trying to get on the end of it, but I thought this was a great take, Peter. You said it. The anticipation was wonderful, and as Alan Mabry shaped to play it in, Marcagiani was already moving off his line.
A measure of Luca Marcagiani's quality there. It was Bowyer who took a buffeting. Ravanelli climbing against Mills, who's come out on top. Here's Baronio. Hart. Now Wilcox. Cohesive play from Leeds again. On by Danny Mills to the captain Kelly. That was Pesarese's intervention, then Nedved and Claudio Lopez. This is where he's so dangerous. He's on the shoulder of defenders, but Mills was up to the task.
Wonderful defending, because it's an ever-present danger as Leeds look to build and get players forward, and Lopez's pace on the break. There's going to be always a threat. That's superb defending from Mills. It's twice now he's got back and taken the sting out of it.
He's had some of his best games for Leeds in that position in the centre. No Ferdinand, no Rannaby, no Woodgate tonight. Bowyer rolled on, invitingly now to Wilcox, and then Viduka. Unlucky, Baronio came back there to thwart him. But it will be a corner.
Well, they'll take that, because it was a difficult one in the end for Viduka to try and get under control, so the corner's the next best thing.
Ravanelli has come back to mark Dominic Matteo. They've taken it quickly here. Bent it by Ian Hart. Now Wilcox. It was Fernando Couto. Wilcox again. Kuhl calling far post. It's Bowyer here. Just couldn't work it inside though. But again, the second half really opening up, and it might go either way. Matteo. Viduka just dropping short then of Fernando Couto. Here's Nedved. Now Claudio Lopez. Pizarresi in space on the far side. He had too much time then, Lopez.
Well, he did, but to be fair to him, the options were poor, because nobody made a little dart for him and said, here, I want it.
Didn't get much support there, the Argentine. Now Kelly. Harry Kuhl. It's Kelly again. Let Kuhl looking to spin away from Mihailovic. And the Yugoslav did leave his leg trailing. Can be a bit cynical at times, Mihailovic, as he underlined here.
It's a great touch, though, by Kuhl.
Not so clever from Sinisa Mihailovic. Ian Hart, who can be so deadly with these free kicks. Viduka! It's a fabulous goal from Mark Viduka. Well, no wonder his price tag is rising around the European scene. He has made such an impact for Leeds this season, and this is a cracking header.
Well, it's great strength. You see the way he's holding off his man Mihailovic, and he just can't get near it. The arm goes out, and they know the delivery is going to be pretty good. Give him something to get on the end of. Defending again from Mihailovic is poor, but a good finish. Once he gets on the end of it, Mark Viduka picks his spot well, and Marchigiani, no chance once it hits the deck and skims.
It's the Ian Hart, Mark Viduka combination again for Leeds, and they go in front now, 3-2. Viduka scoring for the 18th time this season. It's his fourth in the Champions League. For the moment, it is swinging Leeds United's way. Leeds want to bring on Tony Hackworth now. They can't catch the referee's eye. Now they have. Is it Viduka giving way? Don't think he wants to go, that's for sure. Now Mihailovic. Can he do now what Hart achieved at the other end? It took a wicked deflection. No one in the history of the Italian league has scored more free kicks than Mihailovic. That wasn't one of his better ones, though. Still Hackworth waiting his moment. Here's Castroman. That comes Wilcox. Beavering hard for Leeds. I think it is Viduka. Just listen to the reception he's getting here from the Leeds fans. Well, he's had a magnificent going. But he's taking no further part now as young Hackworth comes on. But what a well-placed header that was from the Australian. Mihailovic. And Nedved. It was Mabry with the block. And up come Leeds on the break now with Hackworth. Trying to shake off Baronio, who did well to stay with him. Swapping like for like as Hackworth slots in alongside Kuhl.
Well, it's no surprise, Peter. I mean, Viduka's done his bit again. Excellent goal before he goes off. Maybe had a quieter first half than you normally come to expect from him, but you know, a chance for a young lad like Hackworth to learn now. Give him a run. It's ideal.
O'Leary, of course, a little short on options with Alan Smith being kept out of this game and Keane ineligible. Mills, sure-footed at the back. There is Hackworth, touch up though by Fernando Couto. Mabry, straight to Mihailovic. Now Stakovic, who's going nowhere though.
Yeah, I think he's another one just to keep an eye on Mabry, because you know, he hasn't had many games at this level for a while. He's had his problems with injury, and I think he's beginning to just feel a little bit tired as well now.
Mihailovic will be policing Hackworth with a big taste of European duty in Barcelona. Not a night though that Leeds will remember too fondly, but boy have they changed things around since. Hackworth. There's only Kuhl in the penalty box for Leeds till the arrival of Wilcox. Casterman made it awkward for him.
Tell you what, Peter, there'll be three sides that will want to avoid Leeds United, I think, in the quarter-final draw, because I mean, David O'Leary's side has shown they can go anywhere and score goals, and a big danger here at home as well. I mean, the way they've come back tonight, the spirit and the character again, with such a, you know, an unbalanced team and such a kind of a...
Viduka happy to sit it out now, having played a big part this evening. Ezerezi to Baronio. Almost got Nedved away. Feeling is that Baronio will be on his way again come the end of the season, having not really made a breakthrough. Maybe out on loan, or this time they will sell him on. Here he is again, finding Casterman. His arrival has increased Lazio's options down the right side since they sold on Conceição. That was careless set from Baronio. Mihailovic got him off the hook. Stakovic, Ravanelli ahead of him. Nedved supporting as well. Now Claudio Lopez. Some fluent football here from Lazio. Mabry making sure they made no real impact though. Now Stakovic. Almost fell into the path of Casterman, but he didn't intend that.
It was a bit wild. Never ever came close. But I'm surprised we've waited this long to see Lazio actually knocking it about a bit more, but it was credit to Leeds, because not only have they kind of put a little spurt on in terms of their own football, but they have worked hard and they've closed Lazio down quickly, and I think that needs to stay in place now to the end of the match. Don't give him a sniff, don't let him back in again.
Fernando Couto. With Stakovic. Now Burns. It's only his 7th start, Jacob Burns. Kelly, who's been around a lot longer, of course, over 300 games now for Leeds. Almost the old man, really, of the team. Nedved, good ball too. Some fine anticipation by Matteo, who spotted the run of Claudio Lopez. Here's Burns again. Then Hart. Bowyer down the line, Kuhl through the middle. This is Bowyer. Laid off for Kuhl. The referee has brought play back for the challenge. Castroman on Boya. And it's a caution too for the Argentine.
Well, he seems to be going backwards a bit, Castroman. He started the game very brightly, and there wasn't anything particularly malicious in it. He was just slightly late, and it was enough to get him a yellow.
He's already an Argentine international. In his debut back in December against Mexico. Here's Hart. Oh, Harry Kewell. For a moment there, I thought Lazio got to sleep. Here's Lopez. Ravanelli. Leeds on the march again. Till they ran into Mihailovic. Nedved quickly led off to Baronio. Sees so much around him, Nedved. Now Castroman. Going up a cul-de-sac though and running into Jacob Burns.
Burns has come into it more in the second half as well.
Hackworth in pursuit. It's Colonnesi who's gone across. Kewell. Good header. Got up well there. Pesaresi was marking him, but not very effectively.
Well, he's unchallenged again. Pesaresi has just stood and watched it as Kewell just jumped above him. He's got to make a challenge there. Keeper's done well. Maybe Harry Kewell would have been better off just trying to sneak it in near post. Going across the keeper, I think, helped the Lazio custodian.
Custodian, did you say?
I did. Do you like that one? I don't know where it came from, but...
Harry Kewell. It's a decent effort too. Well fielded by Luca Marchigiani.
Good pace on it. But this is Pesaresi not challenging Kewell. It was a good header, good solid header, but close enough to Marchigiani for him to get down quickly.
Mills policing Claudio Lopez. I think Lazio want to make a change. Whoops, it was Robinson's dreadful clearance. Seized on here by Castroman. Surely that was an illegal challenge. He was in full flow there. Hart who crashed into him.
Well, Matteo seems to think he took a dive, but I think that's fair enough. I think Ian Hart certainly caught him.
When is a dive not a dive? I'm better about tell these days.
They're good at it, some of them. But he was caught then.
Now keep your eye on Sinisa Mihailovic. Lazio's kingpin from the set piece, although Nedved alongside is no slouch either. Salas is about to come on. The Chilean international, who's become pretty much a regular again lately for Lazio. It's all favouring a front two normally of Crespo and Salas, certainly in Serie A games. And Claudio Lopez is not going to finish the match. But making his recovery on his way back from that long-term injury. It is a gradual process. On comes Salas to pose fresh problems now for Leeds, with his darting pace up front and his eye for goal. Meantime, Mihailovic trying to compose himself. He gave this free kick ages ago. Here is Mihailovic. Great save from Robinson. He's not had that many to make, but boy, was he on top of that one.
Oh, that's top draw. I mean, it was a well-struck free kick by Mihailovic. Took a little nick off the end of the wall. That's great goalkeeping to get across and beat it away. Superb.
Shades of his form earlier in the campaign. He has been such a revelation. O'Leary was saying the biggest compliment you can pay him was that we weren't missing Nigel Martin when the regular number one was out injured. Mihailovic to try again. Leeds to defend again. Kewell couldn't turn away though from Nedved. Colonnesi just lumping it hopefully forward. Now Mihailovic with Colonnesi again. Hasn't managed to hold down a regular pace, Colonnesi. Hackworth. Wilcox was strong and determined. It's Bowyer's cross. Now Kuhl. Turned away from Stankovic, but he was caught.
Well, this is within Ian Hart's range, most definitely perfect for him, left-footed. Just depends on which side he's going to go for.
It's a worrying moment for Luca Marchigiani. Ravanelli is back in the defensive wall. There's Ian Hart, lines up a strike on goal. So adept from this range. Can he do it again? It needed to be a mite lower.
Yeah, I think he'd probably give it about a 6 out of 10. Decent attempt, but he just didn't quite get the dip he wanted on it. At the same time, I think Leeds have got to learn the lesson from before. Mihailovic, a free kick, brilliant save by Robinson. Don't give away any more. Don't give him a chance to get Lazio back in the game again.
Ravanelli. There's Mabry. He certainly hasn't let Leeds down. Harry Kuhl. Such a long time out, Harry Kuhl. We're not going to see the best of him for a while, but in little flashes, well, it's still there, the skill. No question about that. And Lazio have never been able to relax against him. Such as his ingenuity.
Well, the fitness might not be that strong yet, Peter, but the touch and the control is there. I mean, that's obvious from the minute he came back.
He is so important to the Leeds game plan up front tonight, and I'm sure long term he'll be in a floating role behind a front two.
And that's the beauty about having somebody like him and the likes of Robbie Keane, although he's ineligible for this competition. The options David O'Leary has now are frightening in attack.
Salas trotting into the middle. Lazio's substitute wasn't too effective at the weekend in the defeat by Bologna. But generally his form has been good under Dino Zoff. In the league games, Lazio have been playing more through the middle rather than the direct approach under Sven-Goran Eriksson. Baronio. Ravanelli, then Baronio again. He's got Nedved spare. And Pesaresi. He played under Eriksson at Sampdoria. Salas, just too strong for Nedved. Little barge on the way for Matteo, but no harm done.
Yeah, the run was well tracked. I think Matteo was there had it gone to Nedved's feet.
Bowyer. Marched on to Hackworth. Oh, good ball that was too. Wilcox now. Two in the middle. A routine save for Marchigiani. Nedved. Salas, I think, offside. Seemed to be on his way out earlier in the season when Javier Lopez had arrived. But then the injury to the Argentine meant he was needed. Stayed on, he's won his place back. As I was saying, he has been playing well lately.
Excellent poacher, isn't he? And for a small enough fella, he's brilliant in the air as well. Gets up really well.
Ravanelli. And Stankovic joining in. That was neatly done from Mabry. He's caught the eye once or twice tonight with his touch. Mihailovic. Back came Pesaresi to aid him. Baronio. Gave that away very cheaply though. Burns. He is hot. Castromanica chasing back. That will be a free kick to Lazio. Castromanica waving his hand, demanding a yellow card. The Austrian referee has told him, I've got the whistle, thanks. I do hate to see players doing that.
Yeah, I agree. I don't like it either.
Lazio, well, he was clumsy. And Ravanelli says that's painful.
I agree with the referee again here. I think he's right. I think Matteo is trying to just dart through and get the ball. He catches Ravanelli, but it's not the worst tackle in the world. And Ravanelli again was acting, and referee's right to tend to get up.
Stankovic has been yellow carded now. Zuri for speaking out of turn. It was a foul, but it does go down in such dramatic fashion, Ravanelli. Mihailovic getting some bend on that. Now behind for the goal kick. Castromat, who was lurking in there.
Well, it was always low, and Gary Kelly, I know, was involved. Yeah, but Castroman did get the header. Wasn't too far away either.
There's Fernando Couto. Colonnesi. Now Stankovic, movement from Salas. And Pesaresi. Here's Salas again. Easing his way past Mills. Pesaresi. And Mihailovic. Pesaresi again. A lot here of Harry Kuehl. There we go. Now Akajani has to scurry back.
I'm surprised he didn't put that into Rosette. He made it easy for Leeds to pick it up with the possibility of taking it quickly.
Bartes would have dribbled round him and had a shot on goal. Harry Kuehl might have a go from here. No real stick though from Kuehl. I'll be asking you shortly, Jim, to name your man of the match. Well, Brian Kidd, the new head coach, of course, at Leeds now. It's his first home game in Europe. Free kick to Leeds. Pretty rugged challenge then from Pesaresi. Leeds edging the contest and seeking the security of another goal now. Harry Kuehl. Way by Fernando Couto. Mills. Oh yeah. Baronio had read his intention, so it's Nedved now advancing. Burns getting his tackle in. He has done that to good effect this evening. Worked really hard, Burns. Salas, then Ravanelli. Their little combination hasn't come off.
That was a simple enough pass, and I think Ravanelli putting his hands on his head says it all. He should have found Salas again.
Indeed, that was very careless too. Lots of concentration.
I think they'll know. That's the one thing they've got to avoid, a little bit of sloppiness like that. Keep concentrating. When you get tired, your brain begins to slip, but keep it going.
Ravanelli. Mihailovic inevitably has come across to launch another free kick into Leeds territory. Salas had his arm up, Fernando Couto. Ravanelli in there too. Didn't get to it though, Ravanelli. Wilcox. A lot of real plus points for Leeds tonight. Return of Wilcox among them. There's Caizarese. Hackworth giving it a real go too in pursuit. Burns. Now Mules. Nothing on ahead of him, so he's opted instead for Kelly. He's been pretty solid at the back, Gary Kelly. Oh, has been game beset by injuries lately.
Well, I think the manager's spoken about him, the attitude in getting back after he had surgery recently, you know, in twice a day, working out. And really he and he alone has made it so as he's back so early.
Ravanelli just got a flick on that towards Salas. Matteo was really sturdy though. Too sturdy it seems for the referee's liking. I thought he won that cleanly.
I think that's harsh. I'm surprised they don't protest a little stronger in that instance.
Guess who's going to take it? Sinisa Mihailovic. He has a tremendous record, but even he surely is going to have to go some to score from here. Well, it got through. There was some power behind it too. Robinson was hanging on.
Well, it's a goalkeeper's worst nightmare at times when it's bouncing in front of you like that, but fortunately for Robinson it was right in front of him, and even though he didn't grasp it first time, it was easy before three Lazio players got in on the end of it second time round. Decent strike.
Ravanelli had shown himself there, but so too has Stankovic. And comes Wilcox again. He has worked diligently, but Casterman could be in. And then Ravanelli. Oh, Leeds don't want to let it slip now. It's Salas! Off the uprights. Oh, he's furious. He didn't tuck it away. But boy, did he turn quickly.
Well, David O'Leary's out in the touchline. He's furious with Jacob Burns. He tried to be too clever, really, outside his own box. It got robbed. Great little ball by Ravanelli. For me, that deserved a goal. I think Paul Robinson can't believe it's come back into his arms.
Well, he was really sharp then, Salas, but such a good opening. He knows he should have converted it. And we'll take this opportunity for me to invite the former Leeds favourite, his words not mine, Jim Beglin, to announce your man of the match, Jim.
Well, for me it has to be Lee Boyer tonight. I mean, for a multitude of reasons, but his energy, his enthusiasm, his grit and his phenomenal work rate, and of course there was that magnificent goal as well. He's my man of the match.
And if you agree or disagree with Jim, you can voice your opinion on our website at itvfootball.co.uk. Casterman almost back in the fray, not looking too comfortable at the moment though. Salas so nearly made it 3-3.
That's what I was saying, Peter. You know, okay, there's a lot of young minds out there, and you've got to keep it simple. This stage of the game, don't try anything clever around your own box, and Jacob Burns was a little careless then. He shouldn't be trying little flicks like that when he's been closed down, and that's why the goal nearly came.
Well, Casterman has come off, and one of the youngsters is on. This is Daniele Ruju. Getting a brief taste of the action here right at the finish. Almost into stoppage time. That's Hart. Lobbed up towards Hackworth, but beyond him, Fernando Couto's clearance. Burns. Trying to instigate another Leeds raid. As ever, Bowyer at the heart of it all. Wilcox to Bowyer again. Now Hart.
That's better. That's all Leeds need to do now. Just keep hold of it. Keep winning it back and find white shirts.
Mihailovic. Now to Pavel Nedved. Falls back here though. Mihailovic. Leeds will want to just keep it tight now. In the closing seconds, here's Baronio. Another free kick to Lazio. It might be another troublesome moment for Leeds. Mihailovic not interested this time. Here's Baronio. Salas and Ravanelli right up front. This is Pavel Nedved. Rather tired pass though. Fernando Couto. Baronio. 3 minutes to be added on. Nedved. Now Ravanelli. Some of his antics, I think it's fair to say, haven't gone down too well with the home crowd. But you can't fault his endeavour. Salas. Nedved had taken a tumble. Ezerezi. And Nedved. Couldn't get through the first time. Ravanelli. Desperate defending by Leeds. Still they can't get it away. Stankovic. Then Baronio. He scored his first goal of the season last week against Anderlecht. Mabry has gone down here. And it's getting out of hand at the moment. Not for the first time tonight. Things have got rather overheated.
Well, it's retained that feistiness, hasn't it, all the way through. I mean, people haven't held back on their tackles. And I think the one thing Leeds needed in that big scramble before was just somebody to get a foot on it. It was a bad tackle on...
Nedved, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Nedved on Wilcox.
Oh, Mabry.
Was it Mabry?
Yeah.
Mabry got caught. I thought it was Wilcox. I mean, Nedved was a little late there. That was nasty. Yeah, you're right. It is Mabry. Wilcox is standing on the left just now.
Nedved gingerly back on his feet, but for my money, he was the guilty party there.
He was. Oh, how high do you want it? I honestly didn't think it was that high initially. That's... If he can avoid a card for that, he's doing well. No wonder Mabry's furious.
But it's Lazio who have the free kick. Dangerous territory again for David O'Leary's team. David Batty just coming on as Mabry is carried off. It's the end of his night. Batty was given a breather this evening. Kept out of the firing line. But the old warhorse is on now. As Leeds endeavour to shut up shop right at the last. Here is Mihailovic. Oh! That's fantastic. Bent beyond the keeper and right into the corner from the master of that kind of situation.
Well, they shouldn't have the free kick to begin with, because Leeds should have had a free kick in their favour after the dreadful tackle on Mabry. But once he got over it, that's magnificent again. I mean, we've been speaking about it throughout the match, what he can do, and there's an example. That's brilliant from Mihailovic. Unjust, though, in my opinion.
A penalty and a free kick from Mihailovic. Twice on the score sheet, it's 3-3. In injury time. Harry Kuehl. Up comes Ian Hart to take on the responsibility here. Lazio a target. Huge roar now from the Ellen Road crowd as Leeds seek a final twist in the tail. I think it was Matteo who went down. And he stayed up front. Look at the swerve on that. On by Batty. But it's all over. Well, Leeds haven't got the win they were hoping for tonight. In the quarter-finals, here we come. Ravanelli, who got the opening goal of the night, he really has swung first one way, then the other. David O'Leary, well, he won't be too despondent at the final outcome. Viduka with that cracking header, and Leeds seem to be on their way to victory. 2 goals though from Sinisa Mihailovic, and they have salvaged some pride here. The champions of Italy, so disappointed to be going out of Europe at this relatively early stage. It's a buoyant Ellen Road, and the fans who might have winced when previous draws were made won't be doing so now. Bring on who you like will be the fervent message, I'm sure, from Leeds United, despite this